even medicine acknowledges that diabetes is a lifestyle disease. Am I talking about type 1 diabetes or type 2 diabetes? I find that the same conditions all respond to, whether it be type 1 or type 2. It's basically a pancreas is not working well. And so if the pancreas is not working well, we need to go to our 3-letter word and find out why. But what happens when a 7-year-old girl has diabetes? She hasn't been on the planet long enough to be giving the body the conditions that would wear out a pancreas.
This is Barbara O'Neill, a famous health expert known worldwide. She strongly supports holistic and natural health, with many testimonials backing her methods. Today, we're exploring the causes of diabetes. It's crucial to understand what triggers this condition so that you can manage and prevent it effectively. In this video, Barbara O'Neill will discuss the main factors that contribute to diabetes, including lifestyle choices and genetic influences.
Research shows that diabetes affects nearly 38.4 million people in the United States, or 11.6% of the population. But did you know that it's possible to not only manage but actually reverse type 2 diabetes with the right lifestyle changes?
Keep watching until the end to find out helpful strategies for managing diabetes and minimizing your risk.
So then we need to go back and look at parents and even grandparents. We had a 9-year-old girl do our program. She had diabetes, and of course, as a child, it's considered type 1 diabetes. And also, medicine considers that type 1 diabetes cannot be reversed. Yep. But type 2 can be reversed. So I began to investigate, and the little girl had been vaccinated. And I have seen a few children develop diabetes after vaccination. But there are many children who are vaccinated, but they don't have diabetes. It's one of the factors. And there are many factors that can come together to create a certain condition. And then I consulted with her mother, because her mother was doing the program too. And her mother was very, very large. Her mother was only as tall as me, but she was about 3 times my size. And as I'm consulting with her, she was telling me her lifestyle and what she did, and nothing terribly remarkable. Then the little girl said, "Mum, tell her." And the mother looked a little embarrassed. And the little girl said, "Mum, you got to tell her." And the mother looked very embarrassed again. So the little girl said, "She eats a bag of candies a day." A bag of candies. We call them lollies. Do you call them candies?
Yes.
They're sort of sweet things. They're sugar. And people suck on them, apparently. Lollipops. Do you call them lollipops? The one stick? How can I say to that mother that years and years and years of eating so much sugar has worn her pancreas out to the point that it has compromised her pancreatic DNA, and she's given a compromised pancreatic DNA to her child?
Kids often are diagnosed with diabetes. This is due to lifestyle, but also genetics can play a role. Type 1 diabetes is often seen as irreversible, but with type 2 diabetes can be managed with a proper healthy lifestyle. The long-term effects of poor dietary habits, especially excessive sugar intake, often lead to diabetes. Research shows that an unhealthy and damaged pancreas is one of the main reasons for diabetes.
So what is causing diabetes? Now, most people are fairly aware that sugar's got a big contributing factor, is that right? It certainly does. What I'd like to do, I'd like to go with the Proverbs 14 verse 6 that says, "Knowledge is easy to him that understands." And I'd like to have a look at how the body deals with the glucose that gets into the blood. Now, last night we looked at how the enzymes in mouth, in gut, they break down the food to those tiny particles called glucose. Now tonight, I want to show you what happens once it gets into the blood. And never in the history of mankind have human beings eaten so many carbohydrates. And let's have a look at what carbohydrates are. And when you have a look at what they are, you quickly begin to realise why people are consuming so many carbohydrates. What would most people have for breakfast? Cereal, yep, we know, because there's a whole aisle devoted to it in the supermarket. And it's a very popular food because the person only has to open the packet, pour it into a bowl, put milk on it, goes like wet tissue paper down the hatch, out the door in 10 minutes. No wonder it's popular. And see what's happening today. Many people are going to bed too late because they're on technology. And then they wake up too late. And then, oh dear, what are we going to eat? That's quick. It's very quick. Another one is bread. And because these two don't take you very far, most people by mid-morning are going to, they're reaching for the cakes, biscuits, I don't know, in America they call them cookies, yeah? I know in Australia when you go to America and you see a sign saying biscuits with gravy, we don't understand that because for us a biscuit is like a cookie. But I think in America biscuits are more like a roll or something. Also, Australians love their pies, and the Europeans have introduced us all to pizza, pasta. I don't think there's a home today without pasta, rice, another carbohydrate. My husband's an Irishman. Every main meal must contain potatoes. And last and certainly least in nutritive value is, we've done rice, is the pure crystallised acid that's been extracted from the sugar cane plant. Would that be right? Sugar. Is this what Bermudans eat a lot of? Now, all of these foods break down in the gastrointestinal tract to a little singular structure called glucose. Now, as we saw yesterday, glucose, once it's broken down to glucose, then it gets into the blood. Then it gets on the M1 main highway to another very important organ, to the liver. And the liver determines where it will go. Now, the first place it'll send the glucose is to the cell. So once again, as we did on Monday night, we're going to go to the CBD, Central Business District of the human body, is the inside workings of the cell. So the glucose goes in, and the hormone that influences the entry is insulin. So insulin is the key that unlocks the door to get that glucose into the cell. So the insulin comes in, it goes through a 20-step pathway, and this 20-step pathway gives us 2 units of energy. For those who know the science of this, that's the glycolytic pathway. Now, the end result of the 20-step pathway is a chemical form of glucose called pyruvate. And pyruvate is the chemical form of glucose that gets fed into the next section. And this 8-step pathway gives us a very impressive 36 units of energy. So then the question arises, how come a 20-step pathway only gives us 2 units? And how come a 8-step pathway gives us all that? The difference is oxygen. So this is a pathway that uses oxygen. This is a pathway that doesn't have oxygen. So this pathway produces energy by the process of fermentation, whereas this pathway, it creates energy by the presence of oxygen.
When the body doesn't get enough oxygen, it turns to fermentation for energy. Unfortunately, fermentation is not very efficient. It produces only 2 units of energy from glucose, while the oxygen-dependent process can generate 36 units. This illustrates the importance of oxygen for energy production. When we eat a lot of carbohydrates, glucose enters our bloodstream and needs to be regulated. If there's too much glucose and not enough oxygen, the body relies more on fermentation, which can put stress on the pancreas. The pancreas has to work harder to produce insulin, leading to potential insulin resistance over time. This condition is a major contributor to diabetes. To lower the risk of diabetes, it's crucial to understand how the body processes glucose and the role of oxygen in energy production. Eating carbohydrates in moderation and incorporating activities that boost oxygen levels, such as exercise, can help maintain stable blood sugar levels and promote better metabolic health.
In fact, insulin's got a one-set mind. I must store, I must store, I must store. So a lot of people with diabetes, you'll find they're carrying excess weight. Because what's their brain doing? Through the insulin, I must store. You see that? Now there's another hormone that the pancreas releases, and it's glucagon. Now what insulin does, it gets the blood sugar level down, as I've just shown you. But if blood glucose levels go too low, glucagon's released and it gets blood sugar levels up. So can you see the pancreas releases these two main hormones that are designed to keep that blood sugar as it should be. But what's happening on this high carbohydrate diet? Huge amounts of glucose are being released, come to the cell, and something starts to develop. It's called insulin resistance. Have you heard of it? Basically, the cell wall says, I'm sick of the sight of you. I'm sick of the sight of you. So it starts to resist. It starts to resist. And the glucose is still in the blood. And the brain's going, oh dear, quick pancreas, more insulin, more insulin, more insulin. But what's the problem? It's not lack of insulin, it's actually insulin resistant. And so eventually the pancreas just says, I'm done with this. I've had enough. I'm worn out. So it's not long after insulin resistance that diabetes happens. Diabetes mellitus simply means sugar in the urine. Because if the glucose can't get into the blood, then it has to spill out into the urine. Can you see that? Do you know the first documented cases of diabetes mellitus was just before the Black Plague in London. And you know what this doctor discovered? That it was only his wealthy patients that it was happening to, because it's only the wealthy that could afford to eat sugar. You see, what sugar does, we've got a red tonight. Yeah, you're still royal, but we're red. So blood glucose levels go up dramatically when these go in. You see, high glucose demands high insulin. So what happens is, because so much insulin's released, where's blood glucose levels going now? Too low. This is called hypoglycemia. And what does the person do down there? Oh, we'll have a candy, we'll have a Mars bar, we'll have a cup of coffee with 3 teaspoons of sugar. Will that get it up? Oh, yes. Oh, no, we're too high. Stop the glucagon, release the insulin. Oh, no, can you see what's happening here? Crisis, 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 crisis. We had the CEO of one of the big sugar mills in Australia come and do our program. He told me there's 15 teaspoons of sugar in 1 can of Coke. Do you know how much sugar cane is required for 1 teaspoon? About 1 metre. Have you ever eaten sugar cane? How long does it take to get through 2 inches? How long would it take to get through 15 metres? In other words, a can of Coke should take you about the time to drink as it takes to eat 15 metres. You see where it's just overload. So over here we're going to put a list of some of the causes and we're going to put refined sugar. And this is the pure crystallized acid that's extracted from the sugarcane plant.
Refined sugar is a key factor in health issues like diabetes. It's highly processed and lacks nutritional value, leading to quick spikes in blood sugar. This overload forces the pancreas to work harder, which can lead to insulin resistance, where cells become less responsive to insulin. As a result, glucose remains in the bloodstream, raising blood sugar levels. Excess sugar intake also contributes to obesity, particularly around the abdomen, making insulin less effective. This creates a cycle of high blood sugar and insulin resistance. Beyond diabetes, high sugar consumption can result in other serious health problems such as heart disease, liver issues, and certain cancers. To lower these risks, it's crucial to reduce refined sugar and choose healthier options. Focusing on whole foods and maintaining a balanced diet can help stabilize blood sugar levels and improve overall health.
I'd like to give you some illustrations of what to eat. So let's have a look at some breakfasts. So breakfast, I'm going to give a couple of options here. One breakfast could be low GI fruit. So that might be, this is specifically for your diabetic, but you don't have to be a diabetic to eat this because it's so delicious. So low GI fruits, all your berries are low GI. Blackberries, blueberries, cherries, boysenberries, low GI fruit. And now we'll do a grain. So the grain might be oats, or it might be millet. Now millet cooks up to a very nice porridge, but you've got to do 1 millet to 3 water. So most grains are 1 grain to 2 water, but millet needs a bit more water. Or quinoa. Or rice. And ideally, the 2 rices that are low GI are basmati and also brown. Now, if you aren't an early riser, you can put these in crock pots overnight. So there's quite a few things that you can do. Now, if someone's wanting to conquer diabetes, they need to keep away from even the maple syrups and the honeys, because that can give a blood sugar spike until that pancreas is happy again. So what can you use to sweeten that? Stewed Granny Smith apples. Granny Smith apples are very low on the glycemic index. And if they are bitter, there's one sweetener that will not get a spike in your blood sugar, and that is stevia. Now most people say, I don't like stevia, and I say, why? Because it's bitter. You know why? They've used too much. It's almost hard to get your mind around the fact that 1/16 of a teaspoon of stevia equals 2 teaspoons of sugar. So people can't believe that you only use that much, so they use a little bit more. And if you use too much, you'll get a bitter taste. So start little. Start with just the tiniest bits. It's easier to add, you can't take it out. Coconut milk. This is a great and delicious additive on top of your breakfast. Or you could make a nut milk. So I'm going to give you a recipe for a delicious nut milk or cream that we do. 1 cup of, we usually do Brazil nuts. 1 cup of Brazil nuts and 1 tin of pears in natural juice. Now pears are low GI. And then you might do, I don't know, 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. And then you just blend well. And that makes a very delicious cream. Or you could use cashews or if you can get macadamias, you could do them. You blend it until it's like velvet. Pardon? Can you do cashew? Yes, same. Yep. And that makes a beautiful sweet, slightly sweet cream. So can you see that's enough to sweeten that? And then on top of that, put your chia, ground flax. And these really bring your protein up. Almonds maybe, or you could make that with almonds. So does this pass the test in high fibre? It's all fibre. Does it pass the test in protein? You've got protein in all of your grains, and you've got protein in your nuts, seeds, and a little bit in your coconut milk and your nut milk. Does it pass the test on fats? You've got fats there, there, and there.
Boost your breakfast protein with chia or hemp seeds. They're great for adding to porridge or nut milk. Chia seeds also provide omega-3 fatty acids and fiber to support digestion and keep you full. Consider Greek yogurt as well, which has more protein than regular yogurt. Opt for plain, unsweetened varieties to avoid added sugar. Mixing different nuts like walnuts, almonds, and pecans offers a variety of nutrients, with walnuts being particularly beneficial for heart health. Lastly, kickstart your day with a glass of water to boost metabolism and digestion. These simple changes can help you maintain energy and support your overall health. And that's it again for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We hope this video opened your eyes to the hidden triggers of diabetes and their impact on our well-being. If you have any questions or need further advice, please drop them in the comments below. Remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more valuable health tips, and as always, stay informed, stay healthy.